charismatic, go-getter, inspiring, motivating, and kind. Who do you think of? For me, it's my awesome mentor, Shannon King, a radio host and voiceover artist from Montreal, Canada. And the best part, we've never met face to face. Let me take you back a little bit to where everything began. Imagine you're a grade 8 student in Ontario who isn't into a lot of sports, doesn't have too many friends, and you're still trying to figure out your future and your overall goals. But one thing you know for sure, you are the biggest radio nerd in the province. You guessed it, that was me just over 6 years ago. My career began as the morning announcer at my elementary school, and through that, I quickly realized I love to talk. I got the opportunity to wake up my elementary school every single morning, and I love to find ways to connect with not just them, but an audience of listeners, both on and off the mic. And I love the idea of being creative. Now, although I loved being the morning announcer, and I loved going to the elementary school to wake everybody up, days were still tough. I dealt with a lot of bullying, and I remember going home to my parents just thinking, no one likes me, and I'd be so crushed. But I always had that passion for being behind the mic. That was my comfort. That was my safe spot. And I loved it. And so I knew there was always going to be a job out there for me that had to do with radio and media. So right off the bat, right when I graduated elementary school, going into grade 9, I said, okay, everybody has their favorite celebrity. I'm sure you can think of somebody right now. But for me, I had a favorite radio announcer. I looked at these announcers like they were huge stars. And so I thought, okay, I want to be like them. I'm going to start reaching out to them and see what they have to say. So I started reaching out to a bunch of announcers in the region, Waterloo region. Brady, Adele, and Tara were the morning show on Chime 96.7. Reached out to them. They brought me in. They were fantastic. They walked me through the ropes. They let me do a weather hit. And I thought, this is my dream job. I want to do this forever. So then I got to a point where as a little kid, and I'm sure if you're a parent, you see this with your own kids, I thought, okay, how can I do this job right now? I'm dreaming so big. I want to be behind a mic right now, hosting a radio show. What can I do? So of course I thought, okay, I got to go to school. So I went to school at Conestoga College to study broadcast radio. And on my way to school, every single day, I would listen to the Sound Off podcast hosted by Matt Kundle. And that was like a hub for all things broadcast. There's so many broadcasters. I'm sure if you love radio, you've heard one or two on there that you love. And that's where I found Shannon King. And I remember listening to this episode and thinking, wow, I want to be like Shannon. Like if I could do half of the things that Shannon King has done, I'd be set in my career. And the moment I started listening to that podcast, this was one of the first things that I heard.
When I was in high school, it was awful. I didn't enjoy it very much. I wasn't in any cliques. I was the weirdo who was playing hacky sack and playing guitar, but it wasn't cool at that point. So for me, I didn't form those memories or those friendships, and everybody was deciding, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And I just had no clue. Like, how am I supposed to figure this out? I still feel like a kid.
And that was my realization moment where I thought, oh my gosh, Shannon and I have so much in common. We both struggled in high school. We both weren't sure what our next steps were going to be. But then I kept listening to that 45-minute podcast, and I learned that she studied broadcast journalism at Seneca, did 5 different internships, CTV, CBC, and City TV, to name a few. Then she landed her first gig at Kiss 99.3 in Timmins, worked her way up to Sudbury, and now she's in the second largest market, hosting a morning show in Montreal, Quebec. So what did I do? What would you have done? I reached out to Shannon on Instagram, and I said, hey, Shannon, I'm a radio nerd, and I want to do what you want to do. And this was during the pandemic. So she wasn't able to bring me in like I had asked her, but she goes, Chris, you have such fire in your belly. Keep going. It's going to be worth it. 1 year later, she's never forgotten me. And so I reached out again. I said, hey, I really want to do what you want to do. Can we hop on a Zoom call and chat? So we did just that. We chatted all about radio, and then I would send her audio pieces. She got me my very first interview in the radio world, and then when she'd send me feedback, it would be stuff like this.
Oh my God, Chris, I am beaming. It sounds so
freaking good. It's exactly how I pictured it. You got me hooked right off the first 5 seconds. I want to hear more. I love the way you incorporate her voice and your voice and the way you intertwine the audio. I can barely even speak. It is gold, baby. Gold.
Imagine you're in my shoes hearing that. How would you feel? It was like a radio celebrity telling me that all my hard work was worth it. And she continues to do it to this day. Now, I want you to think about your mentor right now. And I want to end with this quote. A mentor empowers a person to see a possible future and believe it can be obtained. The awesome Shannon King, you've done just that for me. Thank you.